can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN, it is Season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. NHL hockey cards are back. A fresh 234 card collection from Upper Deck. You can find your favorite NHL stars, specialty inserts, rare autograph cards, all there. You could even uncover a golden prize card for a VIP trip to the 2026 Stanley Cup Final. Or for the first time ever, how about win a brand new car? And we've had a lot of fun with the NHL cards, compliments of Tim's, Ray, and we just both received a real nice package, right? Several packages, in fact. Yep. And some of the specialty cards, which are already open inside the delivery package that I received. And we've had fun over the last couple of shows going through these because, you know, in many cases it's the greats of the greats. It's Ovi, it's Sidney Crosby, it's Cale Makar, it's the up and comers like Bedard. I mean, go down the list, and I'm going to scare the bejesus out of the teams in the East. Look at Matthew Tkachuk. Remember him? Look at, that's a good one right there, huh? How about you?
Yeah.
Did you get any of that matter to you?
Yeah, well, I like the future guys because, you know, how big a star can they be? Because they're already really great. So you mentioned Bedard. So there's my Connor Bedard one. You watch him the last 10 days. Holy.
So good. Yeah.
And you look at the leaderboard, the points leaderboard, and it's like a bantam tournament. You know, like it's like celebrating it. Oh my God, Carlson and Bedard and really, really great stuff. So I love those cards. I like the young guys.
You know, tell that story because I think it was 2-3 podcasts ago, maybe a few more than that, where you just happened to bump into Connor Bedard. Did you not this offseason at an event or wherever it was, but you saw something, felt something different in Bedard at that point. Maybe that's contributing to the start that he's had.
Yeah, I hosted a chat before a corporate event, and Connor and Christine Sinclair, the great female soccer player, Canadian. Yeah. For those in the States don't know, she's a Canadian legend and
icon.
And just so I had we had a chat in front of, you know, a bunch of people, and even in talking in the 20 or 30 minutes beforehand, and then during the event, I've done it twice with Connor. I'm like, he's a completely different kid, completely different. It's like something clicked for him, and he's a super intense guy, and his friends will tell you like he's really funny, but you could never see that, and it was like all the air was out of him, and I'm like, oh my God, he's just like how I would hope he would be. He was funny and engaging, and I talked to his mom and dad after, and I was like, I know you guys might not notice because you see him every day, but holy, what a difference. Like he looks great, and apparently he changed his training, and he skated differently and lifted less but different, and he looked terrific, and he's played unbelievable hockey here. So really happy for him. Really happy for him. And it's funny, isn't it? Like he had 2 terrible years, except he had 70 points as an 18 and 19-year-old with a team that was not very good. And I think we're starting to see what he's probably going to be able to do.
No kidding. We're going to revisit some of the highlights from the Hall of Fame induction Monday night in Toronto as part of our Canadian Brewhouse headlines in just a moment. But, you know, obviously for our YouTube viewers, they can see you in the home office in BC. What's your travel like this week? And I ask because I know several of my colleagues at TSN are being hampered by the shutdowns and all the stuff going on, right, between Canada and the United States. And travel, aside from the winter storm here in Ontario this past weekend, has kind of wreaked havoc on some of the travel arrangements this week.
Yeah, I got really lucky. The first day when they started canceling flights, which
Yeah.
was November 7th, I flew home from Pittsburgh and my flights were on time. I got home right like you'd hope to get home. And then I don't have another flight in the United States until the 30th.
Ooh, good for you.
So I'm going to miss, apparently the government's reopening
Yeah.
or I don't know, whatever they're doing. I'm just hoping that things are untracked by the 30th. It just happened. There's a break in the ESPN schedule because of the start of college basketball. And
Right.
we got a little bit of time off, or at least I do. And
Mhm.
I'm going to be up in Canada doing some Canucks games and going to do my first two games for the Kings this week in Toronto and in Ottawa Thursday and Saturday. I'm sure you're going to come
Nice.
down and buy me dinner, right?
No.
I
No.
didn't think so. Shocker.
I made my annual trip, and that was Hall of Fame game Sunday. I'll get down a couple more times, but busy week. I got lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff.
Let's check out the headlines, right? Brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. Hey, hockey lives at the Canadian Brew House. Catch every game with beer specials. There's game day prizes and a lot more, all at the best hockey house in town. See in-store at thecanadianbrewhouse.com for details on what your local brew house is up to this hockey season. All right, as promised, take you back to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony last night in Toronto. So many highlights with this cast of deserving recipients, great speeches as there is on an annual basis, right? But each one, highlights something. The path is never easy for these great players and these builders and all of that. Duncan Keith struck a chord with me last night. And among the many things that this great defenseman described throughout his career, he thanked his son, Colton, for helping him fall in love with the game all over again. And for those who don't know, Duncan coaches his son, Colton, and a team in BC. And I had a moment to talk to Duncan. He came down to the set, to work with Duthie and the quiz and everything else on Sunday. And, like most dads, most parents, you get them talking about their kids. And of course, that's their happy place, right? But Duncan is just loving every second of his life right now. And I think that's a real comforting place to be. But that's also where you get the best from the athlete in the recognition of the career and the path that they had to go down to get to the Hall of Fame. And it's never about one person. It's never about one thing, but to be able to then relive the game and see the game through the eyes of your son and his teammates, man, that's a special place.
I love the names that don't maybe necessarily mean anything to me or you that means so much to whomever the indie is. Somebody that a coach, a mentor, a teacher, certainly parents, but somebody that helped along the way, and they mention them, and it's so important in their road to the Hall of Fame. And you mentioned Duncan falling in love again with the game through his son. It's like by the time you get to the end of a 18-year NHL career, like, don't get me wrong, you are grateful and you can't believe that you got to live out your dream, but you are worn out. In most cases, you've played 1,200 or 1,500 games.
Yeah.
You've lifted weights for 20 years and worked out in a way that most people can't really quite comprehend. You've gotten the living tar beat out of you. You've probably had multiple surgeries, and you are worn out. And the game is like, when I say it is a chore, it's not the games, it's everything else. You're like, oh my God, I got to go again. I got to rev it up again. Then you get to watch your son do it or your daughter do it. And there's so much fresh love for the sport, for the thing that they love. And I'm with you. That's a really cool thing to be able to do again. Of course, I love Joe Thornton's speech. It's like,
there was so good.
There was zero chance he was going to get through that without crying. And,
No.
you know, I mean, he almost, as soon as he mentioned his address at home, he started, it was just a home address, and he started to cry. And I don't know. I thought it was outstanding. The night was great. Yeah.
He was vibrating on Sunday, Ray. Like, I mean, he's at the game. He's in the hallway. You know, he's getting ready for his interview on TSN. He's banging on the glass, and Matthews is like giggling. And that was for warm up, you know, for the Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. But he never stopped smiling until, you know, he talked about his family and growing up in Ontario. And then referred to, you know, his wife, and actually chirped Gary Bettman, the commissioner, but then thanked him for shutting down the league, because otherwise he wouldn't have gone to Switzerland, wouldn't have met his wife, and wouldn't have this beautiful family. But it just feels like, you know, everything about Joe Thornton is about being a good dad, a good husband, a good friend, and through all the years of hockey, being a good teammate.
Yeah, you know, I don't know how many of those ceremonies you've been to, Dregs, but when you're, you know, 15 years ago, I was sitting in the front row with Riley, who was 3 years old at the time. Reese was back in the hotel with a babysitter because he was just an infant, and Cammie was giving her speech. And there was something completely out of body to sit there and watch these people speak, but then to watch Cam stand up there and speak. So for as much as that would have been just an amazing thing for Joe and Brianna Decker and, you know, and Duncan Keith and everybody else that was up there, for their people to sit there and watch them up there is just it's just an amazing thing. It's like it really is indescribable. And about 2 minutes into the speech, Riley's, you know, squirming around like a 3-year-old. Then he's going, "Hi, mom. Hi, mom." and I'm like giving him chocolate and trying to just like get him to sit down. I was sweating. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to run up on the stage, and which probably would have been fine anyway. But I was like, but at the time I was like, oh my God, I got to keep this thing on the rails here. I felt enormous pressure, and I was just sitting there. Can I tell you a quick little thing about?
Of course,
As Cammie's going up to make her speech, she turns to me and she goes, "Do you have the first page of my speech?" And the first page of your speech? Why would I have that? I don't have that. I had the diaper bag. I'm like, right, like I was just getting Riley into the hall. So she goes up there. She didn't. It's not like now where they've got teleprompters. She didn't have a part of her speech. And if you watch her speech, her speech was amazing, and she didn't have it with her.
Jeez.
And I was like, oh my! I was so stressed. I'm like, what is going to come out of it? You know, what is going to come out of this? And she nailed it. I guess you know why? Because they all talked from their love of the game and and the people that meant so much for them. But when she turned to me and asked, I'm like, I don't
have my speech.
I was like, oh my God.
Boy. You know, it's so awesome to see these great women being recognized by the Hockey Hall of Fame, and Cammie among a number of them now, and a growing number, as there should be. I thought Brianna Decker, and acknowledging the teammates that made her career possible, right, on so many of those absolutely terrific American teams. And then a comment that Jennifer Botterill made stuck with me as well. And she reflected back to a lunch that she had with her dad, Cal, when she was 15 years of age. And now anybody who hasn't met Jennifer, she is a striking woman. You know, I mean, incredibly intelligent. You can tell that she's very thoughtful, right? But like tall and athletic. I mean, I can imagine trying to play against this woman and going, because she was fiery competitive too, right? Like just such a will to win, as they all have. But, you know, she referenced in her speech a comment her father, Cal, made to her during this lunch. Why not you? Which kind of put it in perspective for young Jennifer at 15. Yeah, I guess.
Well, don't forget, right? When Jennifer was 15, there were not a lot of options to play.
No.
And if you were going to play, you still had to play with the boys. And certainly at that time, the size thing was becoming and strength thing was becoming that's the age where, it diverts a bit. And so now, over the course of 20 or 25 years, there's, it's why the women's league is so important. It's because it gives a beacon of a place to play, a place to dream of. And so the path, it's not going to be easier, but it is. It's going to be easier for girls to play because there are leagues that they can be inclusive in. And when Cami was starting, and all the women that have been inducted up until really this point, there was none of that. And so there was an extra layer. So when Mr. Botterill said, "Why not you?" that would have carried even greater weight than it will today. Yeah. Because it might not have seemed possible for her.
Zdeno Chara, just stoic. I mean, that's a word that comes to mind. He's just a mountain of a human being in every sense, not just his physical presence, but, Jeff O'Neill and I were chatting about Big Z on Sunday night, and Jeff, who would have played a lot against the Boston Bruins back in his day, right? And as a top forward, would have played a lot in matching up against Zdeno Chara. And he was like, I'm no dummy. He said, I found every way possible to get to know Zdeno away from the game. I wanted him to be my friend because I didn't want any part of his nonsense on the ice when we were playing. But one of the qualities that's obvious, and maybe you can reflect on some of your experiences, but he always demanded the best from himself and those around him. And then he referred in his speech to the greatest, right? Nick Lidstrom for teaching him elements of the game based on how Nick Lidstrom played as a Hall of Famer, and Patrice Bergeron for being such a tremendous, teammate with the Boston Bruins and a leader in so many ways, which helped Big Z in that category as well.
Well, in Detroit, they always called Nick Lidstrom the perfect human. And and he was just like on the ice. If he ever made a bad pass, it was like a flashing red light, that he made a mistake because he just didn't make any. And I got the chance to broadcast a lot of Boston Bruins games over the years to watch Patrice play. And I often said if I could have come back and played as another player, it would have been one of two players, Pavel Datsyuk or Patrice Bergeron. And I just loved the way that just everything that Bergeron did. I just loved the way that he did it in a city that likes its blue collar, and he was like this. I don't know. He just stood out in the way that he did everything that he did, and amazing careers. And Z was an impossibility to play against. He's standing in front of the net, and you hear that line. You got to get to the inside. Get to the inside.
Where?
It's like going around. By the time you got around him, you were now in the corner because you didn't really want to get too close in case he was having a bad shift. And you happened to be the piñata that happened to wander through there at the time.
Alex Mogilny joked about taking the call from the Hall of Fame at 3 a.m. in Russia. That was when he received his call that he was being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. And then he said the call followed by either a coffee or a chilled Russian vodka. And you can guess which one that he opted for, the vodka, clearly. He thanked Viktor Tikhonov and CSKA Moscow for setting a standard that he said he chased his entire career. What do you remember aside from, of course, the goal scoring from the early days of Alex Mogilny that made him so prolific?
Oh, as soon as I think of him, I think of just like this, the way that he used to slash across the ice. And when he got it, Mogilny and Berube, guys like that, they just had this, they looked like they had a different gear than everybody else. And when they
Right.
get the puck, how everybody would just back up like as fast as you could, because if you didn't, they were through. Like, Mogilny had the 70 plus goals there, right? And like, just I thought, for whatever the reason was, he hasn't been inducted before. I thought he should have been inducted a long time ago.
Me too. Yeah.
His name always stood out to me as it's somebody that should be in. His ability to, like, he was so strong on his feet, like his ability to just come from nowhere and just like bolt into a scoring position that's what I remember about him. And then as he got older and was playing in New Jersey, he just changed his game into what he could do at that time. And man, he was a fabulous player. Look, he's a Hall of Famer. He deserves to be there. He really does. He's a standout.
Yeah. And look, I mean, NHL.com, so many different sites now look to the future. Okay, here's the next class. And we're not just talking about first ballot guys who are now available to the Hall of Fame, but just the list of players. I mean, I remember having Rod Brind'Amour on, was it last year, early last season, and we talked to him about the Hall of Fame, and it's an impossible question for him to answer. Of course he'd want to be, but I remember again vividly him responding to the question and saying, it's less about me. Of course he cares. He'd love to be in the Hall of Fame, but it's more about his parents, and his family seeing that. So we won't go down the path or the number of names that should be on next year's list or the year after, because it's virtually endless. But it was a fun class.
One point to make about that is you need to get 14 of 18 votes to get in. It's really hard to, like, it's supposed to be hard to get in. That's the way I'd look at it.
Yeah, and Brind'Amour is a name that pops out there. And there are others, with all due respect, but we talk about how it took, at least in our opinion, too long to get Alex Mogilny into the Hall of Fame. All right, well, Brind'Amour is one, and again, there are others. But it's the reason I even bring it up in this sense is, so Jack Parker, BU Terriers, a legendary NCAA coach, is inducted in the builder category. Danièle Sauvageau, inducted in the builder category, decorated Canadian coach. Had just such a tremendous influence on so many of the Canadian women. But it's interesting to me, the feedback I get, and it's a very personal thing, right? So Jack Parker goes in, deservingly so, and automatically there are Michigan folks who come out and go, hey, Red Berenson has to be next. He has to be next. But isn't that's kind of the takeaway, right? And that's what makes, well, in part anyway, small way perhaps, that's what makes the Hall of Fame that special, is because everybody has somebody that you either played against, so you go, okay, well, he should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, or he should be in the Hall of Fame, or this coach that I played for, you damn right, Red Berenson's a Hall of Famer, that sort of thing. I mean, to me, that's part of what makes this experience in this past weekend special.
Well, one of the great things about being inducted into a Hall of Fame is you get remembered, and it's and sometimes people get forgotten in the sheer mass of the game, and so when Jack Parker deservedly gets inducted, it does open the lid on a few other people that might have forgotten's the wrong word, but just bypassed somehow. There's people nominate, and you get up in front of the board, and maybe you get 12 votes one year, and then the next year you get 8, and like, it can change all the time. And Red's career at Michigan is legendary. He also scored, most of the people listening wouldn't know that he once scored 6 goals in an NHL game. It's not like he didn't play the game.
No,
right?
no.
So I would think he's probably right along that path too.
Yeah. Busy weekend overall. We're going to get to some hockey that was played on Monday night. And that too creates, people go, there shouldn't be games on Hall of Fame night. But there were a few. And
okay,
and a couple that
I'm in that, Dregs.
You are, right? Like, just celebrate these great careers and let the Hall of Fame has its night and have that moment. You're in that camp?
I am, because what if a player retires, and this will happen, or a manager's going in, and some people want to be there that can't be because their team's playing.
Right.
Like I think that's ludicrous. One year I was there, and there was like 4 or 5 general managers at one of the after parties on the night of, like immediately following the induction ceremonies, and they were all watching their phones, watching their teams because they were all playing. Like there was like 5 of them, and I'm like, it just struck me right there. I'm like, well, that sucks. They should be able to be like the whole. I don't know. We got enough nights in the league. The schedule's already a mixed bag of whatever, and so you can have a Monday night off somewhere in November to make sure that the Hall of Fame stays a standalone product.
But you're right, and there were some games played, and we'll dive into a couple of them just based on the importance of the games and the individuals that made them important. We wondered, Ray, how the Edmonton Oilers were going to respond. They absolutely throttled 9-1 on Saturday to the Colorado Avalanche. Connor McDavid last night, Monday night, scores 2 in the third period. Jake Walman had a couple of goals and an assist. Jack Roslovic scored on, I guess, pretty much a 3-zone breakaway in overtime to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was not a flawless effort by the Oilers, but I guess what mattered most was they found a way to lock down the 2 points after being a no-show to a better team on Saturday night. So that quickly, can you put an ugly rout like that behind you, or do you need to see 3 or 4 more games to be sure that they're kind of out of the muck here?
Well, I don't. With all due respect to Columbus, I don't know how fortunate overtime win.
Yeah.
I mean, they scored the tying goal shorthanded in the last minute on a goofy shot that gets them to overtime. I don't know how that erases what happened 2 nights before. For me, it just doesn't. It's great to win. I mean, if you look at that game, halfway through the game, I think they had 9 or 11 shots. Like, it's not like they came out and stormed Columbus and and Columbus was hanging on. Columbus played a really, really good road game for a lot of it. And I just have in my head that this Oiler team cannot, if they think they're a Stanley Cup contender, it can't be a finished product, what they are right now.
Right.
It's just not, it's not at that level. How are they going to get by Colorado 4 out of 7 games or Vegas 4 out of 7? I'm not talking about whether they can be a good team. I think they can, but to be at that level, which is what they envision themselves at, I don't know how you look at that, at their current team and say, yeah, I could see them, jumping over top of these other teams. I don't. McDavid's goal, the 3-2 goal, was, spectacular. And, he had an outsized influence on the game as very few players can.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
I have no doubt. I have a lot of time for Kris Knoblauch. I have no doubt that, the fire burns. I mean, it has to. I mean, you don't get to this level of coaching, any of it, without being super competitive. So I will give him that. But he normally is so composed, right? Like, there have to be times when he's getting peppered, fairly, I should submit, by the assembled media on goaltending, on Trent Frederic, on this, on that, where he just wants to just snap. Like, whether he appreciates the question, understands the question, or just disagrees with who's asking the question, it's not in his character to push back, but I want to see it because, often we get the comments like the one he made around the goaltending, where you can tell he knows that he can't sugarcoat it, but he doesn't want to be overly critical. So he's like, it's like the air is coming out of a tire as he's answering the question. I feel for the man sometimes, because there are coaches around the league that aren't afraid to swing back every once in a while. I'm not saying he needs to, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just add a little bit more pop one way or another.
Well, okay, but so goaltending's been a question in Edmonton for quite some time, right?
Years, yeah.
And then there would be questions about the depth of the roster or the way that the top 4D are playing. Like there's always a crisis for almost every coach, right?
Yeah.
It's always something. But when you go there, if the media is asking you about something, it's clearly so obvious that everybody notices it. You can notice the problem, but what are you going to do about it? Right? So like his job is, and coaches will tell you this privately all the time when they've got a roster they don't really like, they'll say, well, this is our team. I mean, these are the guys we got. It's my job to coach them up. Like, what else are you going to do? You can say, oh, Vancouver needs another second line, or Vancouver needs a second line center. Edmonton needs to upgrade their goaltending. Okay, sure. And do what?
Yeah.
Phone the league, around the league, and say, hey, could I have your really good player? And the guy tells you to buzz off. Right? Like sometimes the question is easy, the answer is impossible. And right now, I think for a lot of teams, that's, you're specifically talking about Knoblauch, but I think for a lot of teams, the coaches would love to say a lot different, but what the hell are you going to do? There is no way to correct the problem if it's so glaring that everybody else can.
Yeah. Well, Sunday night, Craig Berube wears his heart on his sleeve in every sense of the word. And Jeff O'Neill wasn't making fun of him. He was talking about how Berube, again, if you're watching on YouTube, when he's frustrated on the bench, he'll often like pinch the top of his nose, it's just a mannerism. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to do. He can't believe what he's seeing. I mean, Toronto gave up 4 breakaways in the second period of that game against the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, in a National Hockey League game, that's hard to do. It's hard to do.
No.
And he had no answers afterwards. So I guess I'm not comparing Berube to Knoblauch. It's just sometimes you just have to address and embrace the obvious. You can't sugarcoat anything. You got to try and protect your players as best you can and stay true to the message. But beyond that, you're as exasperated at times as the fan base can be.
There's I heard something last year that that coaches have to decipher, and I thought it was so, like, I'd never heard it put this way before. And it said coaches often have to decide who will or won't and who can or can't.
Right.
And then you have to divide those two camps. And when Berube says, we don't value the defensive side of the game enough, what they need to do in Toronto, in my opinion, I mean, only St. Louis has given up more goals than them, is they need to decide who will or won't and who can or can't. Because right now, in their quest to become a heavier playoff team, in my opinion, they've just become bigger and slower. And you take Marner out of that, now you're less skilled. And they're not the team they were a couple of years ago. And it feels like they're on quicksandish ground there a little bit. Like a little bit. Who will or won't, who can or can't. And once you make that decision, again, we get back to the Oilers and Kris Knoblauch. Then what are your solutions? Because again, most people can see the issues, and for any team around the league. But how do you fix them? How are you going to try and fix them? It's not easy. It's just not. I don't know what else to say. It's just not easy, even though it's so obvious what you should fix.
Let's wrap up the Canadian Brewhouse headlines with a thought on Brad Marchand. I mean, it's incredible. Like, I don't even think of how old he is. I don't think the number of games. I don't like. He's just such a talented, well-rounded hockey player, star player in the National Hockey League. 5-game goal scoring streak right now. I think he's got a point streak of 8 games. So Florida edges out the Vegas Golden Knights 3-2. Vegas slipping a little bit. They've lost 3 in a row. And Marchand now is on the cusp of 1,000 NHL points. I mean, it's impossible to say. At times it looks like he's getting better because largely his career has been pretty terrific, you know. I can't think of a better transition from being a lifelong member of a team to going at a trade deadline to another team, winning the Stanley Cup, and then coming back, facing all the adversity the Panthers are facing, and being as good as he is yet again. I mean, it's incredible what he's accomplishing here.
Well, actually, I thought as he scored that goal last night, I was thinking about him and the Olympic team. And going back to the Four Nations roster, I thought he might be one of the guys that would be in danger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would pick him.
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
sure.
You know, like, but not because nobody should be picked because of their reputation. I'm talking about how he's playing. When he went to Florida, he was a support player. Right? They had him on the third line with Lundell and Luosterainen. Now with the injuries, Barkov and Tkachuk in particular, he's a central point again. He's 37 years old. and there are guys that are clearly in trouble of making that roster with the push of Celebrini and Bedard and, you know, and Scheifele's going to be there and Nick Suzuki's going to be there. I mean, they'll all be right around the edge of that. Who are they going to pick and who are they going to leave off? What do you do? Like Braden Point's on the roster. He's got 9 points.
Yeah.
Like he's already named. And you're like, oh boy. Like, I hope he gets his game going. Like that's what they must be thinking, right? Mm-hmm. Because don't forget the guys that are going to get left off, they can't supplant the guys that have already been selected to the team. So you're talking about a really great group of players pushing for very few spots.
There's a cheerleading element to this too, that it matters to me. Whether it matters to the Olympic team or not, I don't know. I think it kind of does, you know. And I think of Drew Doughty and I think of Marchand, right? And the power of those voices to go along with their game, the things that they can do on the bench and in the room and at dinner and all of those things. And that stuff has to matter in a short tournament, I would think.
Well, I think it matters, but I'd be careful about having it matter too much if they can't play the minutes you need to play. We talked about this earlier. You got to remember, if a guy's playing 19 or 20 minutes on his team, most times when he gets to the Olympic team, they're not asking him to play 19 or 20 minutes. They're asking him to play 12 to 14. And so the workload comes lower. And you have to envision, can Drew Doughty play 14 minutes? And the answer is yes. But if you're asking him to play 22 minutes or 24 minutes against that level of competition, you might say, tough one. So that's as they're putting the team together, you got to remember some guys are really successful on their club team because they get all kinds of minutes. They have to try and project cutting their minutes in half. What kind of production are we going to get? Because that's what happens in a lot of cases.
Those are your headlines. Thank you to our good pals at the Canadian Brewhouse. Ask Ray and Dregs Anything will return on Thursday. You can send us your questions on X or Instagram at Ray and Dregs or on our website, rayanddregs.com. And we have enough time. We save time every episode for the Tim's Challenge, right?
We should save it for today, is what I'm saying.
I guess, right? Tim's Hockey Challenge. Here we go. And so I want to give a shout out.
You know why?
Hold on. Yeah.
You know why I want this in there?
One.
You know, come on.
You want 2 for 3?
Oh, maybe.
Let's bring in Chris Sabunia. Zuby, you there?
I'm here. What's up, fellas?
Okay. So hold on. Before you bring us up to date, I just want to show my appreciation because every morning on the morning of the podcast, Zuby sends out a note. Can you guys please send me the results from our last show of picking? So I go into the Tim's app and I look for last Thursday's 3 submissions, my 3 players. I know I took Kucherov and Pinto. I can't remember who I took with my 3rd selection. Anyway, it's not there. So I think what happened was, and you guys know, because I acknowledged in the pod last Thursday, I took Kucherov, and you said, you like Pinto. You take Pinto a lot. And I said, yeah, I do. Anyway, it wasn't there. So I dove on the sword, said, okay, well, I don't get any points. And very quickly, Zuby went, no. And then Ryan Rishaug, the president of Rev Media, came down with a hammer and said, no, you're good, 1 for 3. That's a teammate, Ray. That's what that is. It's a high-quality teammate right there.
Well, I think there's no question that you forgot to hit submit picks.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened, yeah.
I think you should be penalized. And
if I can't win, no one should win. You said that
that's
last
exactly
week,
what it's about. And by the way, if Rishaug is making choices, shouldn't he get a couple correct once in a while?
Would help. It would help. Zuby, how'd we do? How'd you guys do?
We got the leaderboard is very crowded now, as Ray went 2 for 3 on Thursday with Crosby and taking a chance on Matvei Michkov, who's been struggling this year, but he came through for Ray. Yeah. So Ray went 2 for 3 to vault into a tie for the lead. He's Ray's at 10 for 27, 250 points. Dregs, we're giving credit. We want to give you credit. You know what, Dregs? We don't want any asterisks.
Oh, there already is right now.
I can just imagine. So we're giving Dregs credit for what he did say on the air. He was taking Kucherov. Also 10 for 27, 250 points. Schauger's been absolutely in the tank, but he finally got one. So maybe this, like an Oilers overtime win pulled from thin air, might spark Schauger to get back in the mix here. So he's at 6 for 27, 150. I don't like to brag. No, I actually do. So
yes, you do.
On the 6th, that was my first. I went 3 for 3. Kucherov, Barbashev, Corey Perry, my first one on the 6th. And then guess what? Oh, I've done it once since then too, fellas. On the 8th, I did it as well. McDavid, Hintz, Drew O'Connor of the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh.
No big deal. So the Ray and Dregs account is doing well, though I did have my 4-game heater snapped last night, but I'm up to 29 correct and now picking at a rate of 28%. So
that's impressive.
So a bit of a roll there.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, you should maybe text Ryan before you submit your picks and you can help him out.
Yeah.
Guys, I just got to say, there's a lot that goes into producing this podcast and that goes into running this company. And I don't have necessarily the same amount of time because you guys are a lot to manage.
Yeah. So, holy, what does that take? Like what? I don't know, 30 seconds to make your picks. I mean, it's not like you're going to pick somebody that's injured, but if you did, I mean, you know,
it's busy, right? There's lots going on here. We got to get you guys paid. We got to do invoices. There's so much that we got to get going behind the scenes. Well, you have no idea.
You know what? No, I have no idea. And I'm still shocked. 6 for 27. I could ask my grandson and he would be at 8 for 27.
It is really bad. It's really bad. I know.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Thank you. Tim's Hockey
Thank you,
Challenge,
Tim's.
Ray. Yeah.
it's
Always a
fun.
source of
I
our
like
entertainment twice a week. It is fun. Actually, I've resisted just because I don't know. It doesn't really matter because Zuby's the guy that actually tracks our episode by episode results. Mm-hmm. But I do want to do it more, and I don't do it on a daily basis, but it's kind of a fun thing to do. Get up in the morning, you look at the scores, you look at the game sheets. Look at me, 2 for 3. So I might do it more.
I will say though, it is It is a little demoralizing when the snowflake is.
It's
bad break. It should
hurts
say
the
bad
feelings,
break, buddy. Bad break, buddy. You got 0
I
for
find
3.
it motivating. It's motivating, the
Yes,
snowflake,
yeah,
I find.
okay.
Wow, you
should,
must
well.
be. You should be really motivated. You've got a whole bunch of them.
What's the guy from the WWF, McMahon? Remember Vince McMahon?
Yeah, sure.
He used to strut like this. That's for Shog right now. Just strutting. 6 for 27. Nice work. All right. Hey, speaking of snowflakes, man, we got drilled here in Ontario on the weekend. Like,
a little disappointed with that.
yeah. And normally, snow in November in Canada, it's not that big of a deal, but I would think similar to Vancouver, BC, parts of BC and here in Southern Ontario. Yeah, the snow happens in November, but then it quickly disappears. You get a couple of days that warms up. No. Like we get slapped with a blizzard and then like -4, -5, and I still have 3-4 inches of snow on the ground.
Does it feel like it's staying now? Is that what you're saying?
It definitely feels like it's staying, but the forecast says it'll be like +8 at some point this week. So it'll be gone.
Okay,
but
can you take care of that by Wednesday afternoon when I get there?
I think you'll be fine actually by the time maybe Thursday. You might be in it a little bit, but
okay.
All right. Well, safe travels, Raymond.
Thank you. I will come there, and if if you have a few extra minutes, you can zip downtown and take me out for lunch or something. I'd be a good teammate.
Like Thursday. Thursday's
Yep.
an insider trading day. I'm tied to the phone. I'm in the office.
Busy. Well, then you could come down Friday morning and take me out before I fly to.
Take
me out for breakfast before I.
I'd be willing to give one of you the company card, the Rev Media company card. Like you can have a little meal on me. We'll file it under team bonding expense.
Oh, you know what we could do? We could meet for breakfast and just rip Rashog for 30 minutes before we have our coffee.
But we already do that twice a week on the Rain Dregs podcast.
Yeah, that's a good
That'd be boring for you guys.
I was
Think of something new to try.
You guys would FaceTime me in for that breakfast meeting.
Yes. Zuby's got a couple of points he'd like to make.
Let's wrap the show, Zuby. Roll the music.
Have a good one, Raymond. Safe travels.
Okay. You too, Drakes. Have a good one. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, and thank you to our sponsors who continue to support Rain Dregs. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.